I was always what they would call a tomboy, which I don't even like that phrase because it didn't describe how I felt I was. Because it basically was saying I was a female. I felt like I was in the wrong body. My mind, my soul, my body did not intertwine together, ever. I didn't feel seen, I didn't feel heard. I felt like I was just kind of a ghost in the corner that nobody really knew existed because my truth wasn't existing. They were just seeing me for what they wanted me to be. Me, I always wanted to be like my brother just because, you know, he was a boy. And that's what I saw myself as growing up. I was in my brother's room always sneaking in there as much as I possibly could, stealing his toys. And that's why he hated me. I would want his little toy guns. I would want anything he had that was boyish. I just wanted it. Because everything in my room was teddy bears and things to look nice. And I just wanted his toys. I was gonna be a boy too. It was never, hey, I fit in with these little girls. I never did. The one time my mom tried to give me Barbies, I tore their head off and put it in the toilet. When I would try to get ready for school in the mornings, that's when the war, the abuse, all of that started. Because I would try to put the clothes on that I wanted to wear. My mom would go to the extremes and buy expensive, nice girls' clothes. And she would get so mad because I wouldn't wear them. And I would flat out tell her, you know, I want this, I want that, and she would just ignore it. She thought that the more money she put into the clothes, the more chance that she could change me, you know, or fix it. She always wanted to fix it and take it away. There was no fixing it. I would be wanting to go to school looking like a boy. And my mom would come at me with the wire hangers, and every morning I would go to school crying, but I would still have those clothes in my backpack and still sneak them out, you know. That was a every morning battle. But I finally felt like I was starting to be seen more because I was able to be more guyish, at least while I was at school, you know. Nobody ever acknowledged it. It was obvious. I never could speak on it because of, you know, that time and where I lived, like, it was just unheard of. The girl name, I think I tried to just always not hear it, you know, like blow it off. To me, I wouldn't hear a name, I would just hear me being called. I never identified personally with being gay, but that's what I had to call it because that's what everybody said it was. When my dad found out that I was gay, he kicked me out and like immediately packed my stuff in his truck and took me to my mom's. Even though it wasn't really me being gay at that time, but at that time it was at the same time. I was always a man. You know, I refused to admit that I was gay for a long time. I wouldn't let anybody say it to me. I just didn't let them call me anything. I just had a girlfriend. Like, that's just what it was. Then when it got to the point where I had to accept it for what they said it was, I had to fit in somewhere within some crowd. So I finally just accepted that I was gay and I ran with it proudly, and that was a problem. Like at home with my mom, she tried to control it in every way possible. We ended up moving a lot, and everywhere we moved, she tried to hide me. And I ended up dropping out of school because she wanted me to, and I got a job with her. At that time, I was 15, and I remember one time her boss offered to take me to the state fair. And when he took me to the state fair, he knew what was going on as far as me having a girlfriend, but me not being allowed to talk to her because I had been moved away from her. So I would try to find ways to talk to her. So when he took me to the state fair, he went and bought me a calling card. And he said, do not let her find out. Well, somehow, as soon as I got home, she knew that I had this calling card. She took me to the bathroom and kept demanding that I give up this calling card. So I wasn't taking her demands. And I was battling her back and forth verbally on this, you know, telling her I didn't have a calling card, nothing like that. Well, she ended up stripping me naked to find this calling card. She found the calling card and then just started wailing on me. She had me on the floor, she was kicking my head. I thought I was gonna die that night in that bathroom. That's how intense that got. I wanna say like the next day or a couple days later, I ran away. I stole her truck and I drove 2 hours away. She was asleep, I was gone. I parked her truck in a mall parking lot. It was parked there for like 2 weeks. She was looking everywhere for me. I knew everybody was looking for me. I was at my girlfriend's friend's house. Well, we got the cops called on us. And so me being a runaway, he's got us all lined up there on a bench. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's when I decided to bail and I took off running. So that was my trip to juvie and my mom had to come pick me up. After that, I got taken back home to my mom. It continued, the abuse. Having to live like that makes you a survivor. I was constantly on survivor mode from that point on. She would try to take me to get perms instead of letting me cut my hair. So I would go home from that and start chopping on it myself. That would create another fight. It was basically a daily beating, just trying to live comfortably as me. That was like a time she had our boss at the time on the phone. She had just had a gun to my head and she sat there for a long time trying to get me to do something and I wouldn't do it, so she kept the gun on my head. Well, then our boss called her and interrupted her sitting there with the gun to my head, but she went ahead and answered the call. And so I yelled out, she's got a gun, she's got a gun. And she made me get on the phone with him and tell him that I was lying. As she's sitting there still with a gun to my head. So a bunch of instances like that have happened. It just kept going and kept going. And so I ran away. I knew in order to live, I had to be away from my mom because something bad would have happened. I had a car by then. So I took my car and I was gone. I stayed gone. I lived on the streets to make it. I lived in my car, but my car broke down. So I was doing everything I could just to make it on my own. Nobody knew what all went on with my mother and I. Some knew she was drunk. Some knew she just drinks all the time, but nobody knows the details of what happened. She wanted me to be the girl that I just never could be. I never was. It would have never matched. I couldn't change it. I couldn't turn it off. There was no changing it. I don't care how much you beat me. I don't care how hard you come at me. I've always been that way. Like, I'm just going to be who I am. After I ran away, I didn't go back. I was sneaking in my girlfriend's window a lot. Like every night, she would sneak me in. And somehow it just became normal that I was there. Her mom found out and it just, after her getting in trouble a few times, it just became normal. I ended up just moving in. I stayed with them. I got a job with my girlfriend's mom. You know, I lived as a lesbian. It never felt right. It never matched up in my head. But that's what I was told it had to be. I had no education on trans. There was an instance that was wrong of me to do, but I got online and I acted like I was a guy just so I could talk to a girl. So basically I was a catfish, but it was only because I wanted that straight guy relationship with somebody. You know, that's a struggle I have, what love really is, because I don't know. From childhood, the things that I've gone through. Growing up was definitely the hardest battle I've been through in life. Anything I've gone through. That was the starting point. So I guess that was kind of the beginning of my strength right away. Like, I had to build that up. I didn't have a choice. Emotionally, I just keep pushing forward. I'm not gonna say I'm healed from it. I'm still working on that. I'm in counseling. It's probably something I'm always gonna work on, because it's not just like one point in my life. It's continuous things, you know. So I may never completely heal, but I believe there is a God. So I've been put in this body for a reason. There was no wrong done there. He made me that way.